Welcome back and welcome new viewers. We're about to go live. Well, we are live, but we're about to go do a little bit of live stream sewing, and I'm trying to fix this Barbie's eye. Her hair is right in her eye, and there we go. I am going to be sewing, continuing with Simplicity number 4422. And I will be sewing this dress right here. I have the fabric ready. I have the pattern cut. I have my lace ready. And Barbie. So what we're going to do first is the hardest part, which is the bodice. And if you hear some noise, my fan. It is July and it is warm and I want to be comfortable, and let's get the lighting fixed up over here for a good viewing. There we go. So I'm going to leave this here for a second and wanted to show you. Let's see here. I hope that you have good reception with the light. So the first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that I have the right part of the fabric so that I could do the best part here. It's very tricky with cotton, so I do believe this is the correct part, the outside, and I am going to start by doing the darts. And what I do is I section it off like you see here, and I fold it along with the pattern so that I don't have to be sewing on there. And I put my finger in here, and there is the fold right there. And while I have it like this, I am looking at it a second time, and right where my finger was, just like I thought, it's going to be right here. And I'm going to pull it out, and the next one I am going to put a pin in there so that I could basically sew it right there at the pin. And I know that it's going to be this much, so I'm sewing it through. So the second one, or the other part that I'm going to do, I'm going to be very careful to match it as much as possible. So there's many ways of doing this. You can mark this. You can put white chalk in here, and I do have it, but for the sake of doing this live, I am going to pin it. I'm going to somewhat pin it here. I want to be extra sure that this is where I'm going to start. And while I'm over here, just do a visual, and this is where I'm going to end. Basically, if you can see this, how the way it's going to end right here. Just the way that the pin is going, it's going to end like that. So here is my pin, and I'm going to be very careful to put that in. Put my finger here. And I'm going to open it up and take a visual. That looks pretty good right here. It's a little bit higher on this side. So I am going to go do this again and end it a little bit higher. And that is going to give me a pretty close or exact to close finish. And there we are, right there. And if we want to put this on Barbie, we can see how the top is looking. And it's looking very pretty right here. And by the time that we sew it, you see where my finger is, about 1/4 of an inch. It's going to be sewn in that way. And the darts are going to be just where they need to be. I am going to do the sewing along the neck, and I'm going to use my trusty and favorite medium, which is the tulle. And that was my doll that I just tossed over. So I have tulle in this type of a bolt right here, and I'm going to pull enough to have a cross. And whatever I don't use, I save it until I use it for smaller pieces. And I only want it for the top. So I'm going to place it like you see here. And I am going to be sewing all the way across and over. And once I do that, I am going to, let me see if I can push this down so that we can use as little as possible. So if we're looking at the pattern like this is the neck, this is the back. This is where we're going to put our snaps or our beads or our hooks. This part right here is the waist, so I'm only going to sew up to here. So now that I'm ready to sew, I'm taking that out, and then I am aligning it like you see right there. So I'm going to start, and I always use the side of the foot, and I'm adjusting this. I'm adjusting it right now, that's why it's moving. Okay, there we go. So I always use the side of my foot as my ruler, and I may have gone a little bit too much here on the edge, but that looks pretty good. And by doing this, it is about the easiest way to do the fold along the neck. And the tulle is so light that it's easy to use and fold. So I see that my thread is being a little bit tight. I'm letting this be long, so I'm going to massage it through so there's no little ruffles here. And you see how it's moving along. So my tension's a little bit tight at the moment for whatever reason. So now that I have the tulle here, I'm going to cut it and help me fold this over. And get that done. So I'm going to now clip the edges around the curve here, and that is also going to help me ease up this little crunchiness that we have here, this little gather. And now I'm going to fold it over, and I would love to use it like this, but for streaming, I go ahead and sew it on. If I were to hand stitch this, it would take a lot longer. So we are doing this right now. Just basically folding it over, getting it ready so that all I need to do is sew it and have this in place. So I am pushing that there so that we can have that really nice look. And you can see, let's do it this way. You can see how the tulle is pulling and getting this ready for us to sew, or for me to sew, and it's it's such a nice assistant to having a nice clean cut neckline. I'm just being as gentle as can be because I basically have the camera close up. So here we go. So I have that little area here. I do go on silent mode when I am focusing. I don't want to have a crooked neckline. And I am focusing to keep the tool down. And there is that pointy edge here. Let me see if I can help it by pushing it out a little bit more. Okay. It's as far as it's gonna go. And just like that, we have the nice little neckline work. And I'm looking to see if I could incorporate this with the rest of the blouse, and it's better that I take this out. So what I'm going to do now is cut the excess. And I'm doing this as slow as possible. I don't want to cut into Barbie's blouse area by pinching it with the scissors and then cutting it. And there is the leftover tool that I'm moving out. And the next thing that we're going to do, looking at the picture, is that we're going to put the lace at the edge. So here is my lace. Let me see, I'm getting it untangled here. So this is the part of the sleeve here, and I'm going to gather it just slightly. And I'm going to use my thread ripper here just to hold the little bit of the gather. And one more, and that's going to be it for this side. And what I'm going to do here is turn it inside out and then sew it on top. And that's going to hold it in place so that it doesn't fold over. Alright, there we go. Isn't that so beautiful? So now we're going to do this other side. And I only gather like a little bit in. Like here, it's going to be straight. And not until I hit like this much, like 1/4 of an inch in. And then 1/4 of an inch before the edge. Or a little bit shorter. because if you do the gather right from the beginning, it's going to be very bulky under the armpit, under Barbie's armpit. And if you can see right here, there's not that much room over here. So over here we have all the bulk of the armpit. Just imagine if you had like a big bulk of like a whole bolt of yarn underneath your armpit. It's not going to be comfortable, and it's going to be very bulky. So I'm almost near the edge, like you see here. So this, I'm already going to stop, and I'm just going to sew the lace straight at the edge. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to fold it inside out, because if you use it for Barbie, it's going to be like this. It's going to be folding out. And this way, by sewing it, and we're going to make sure that the tip or the underbelly of that lace is going to be held down with the thread. This is a very pretty design, and it's really simple to do. This is one of the easiest dresses. Ken clothing is a little bit more complicated, but once you do a Ken shirt and a Ken jacket, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy the second time you do the suit or the jacket, but you become familiar with the pattern pieces, and that's half of the struggle of sewing for Barbie or for Ken. You need to become familiar with the pattern pieces and not be alienated of what it is and kind of shying away from sewing. Okay, so this is, I'm going to move my pattern away. So this is one, and let's turn it inside out. Let's get a little bit of gratification here. Look how cute this is. This is darling. So it does come out more. It just needs to kind of get some air. And let's see. I need to clip it here because it's getting stuck in the inside. So I'm going to clip it right. Let me see here. I'm going to clip it right over here. Right there. And watch the difference now. Now it's releasing here. And we have a very nice L shape for the sleeve. So now we're going to connect the other one and then do the skirt ruffles and then do the gathering and connect the dress. So what I'm doing here is I am adjusting it so that I have the waist right at the tip there. So we have an even waist, and that part right there that I just did, that's where that clip is going to go. So that is where I'm going to clip it again right there. Be very careful not to cut the sewing, because then you're going to cut it and it's going to fall apart. It's a good to get in the habit of to cut all these loose little pieces of thread, because they have a nasty habit of appearing to the front and center. And let's try this on Barbie for a quick minute. We're going to take a quick look-see and see how this fits her. It looks really nice. shape of the back with the stripes. It looks like a beautiful zebra. You know what it looks like? It looks like a fashion queen's bathing suit. And because I put the tool in there, we can just put the snaps in there, and we are set. So now I'm going to put her to the side. You can still see her. And I'm going to loosen up the thread, and I'm going to gather the top here. I'm going to give you the measurements in a minute here. I'm using soft cotton. It's soft, not sheer, but it's definitely light. Let's get this out. And this is a lot of fabric. This pattern here uses a lot of material. So it is, my inch over here is cut. So let's start by being here at the 1. So it's almost 5.5. So it's 4.5. Excuse me. 4.5. By 20 inches. We have 20 inches of fabric here. That's a lot right here. But I did decide to cut it all. I mean, as the pattern suggests. And because this is, like I mentioned, this is light cotton, it's going to look beautiful. So on the bottom, I am not going to gather it. There is so much fabric here, and we already know we are using 20 inches of lace for the skirt. So I'm going to sew it right around over here. And then I'm going to do the same, flip it over and hold it in place. Getting my scissors ready. I just dropped a bobbin with thread, so I'm gonna be getting it there. There, we just got it. So I am pulling it, making sure that it's not gathered so much. And here is the work. I'm going to fold it over like I did the sleeves and sew it really close at the edge. I really like to hug those edges. This is going to be such a beautiful dress. I am really happy that I'm doing it. And how many of you have a pattern for your Barbie and you haven't sewn? And even though I sew for orders. So my Barbies are naked. They don't have any clothes, and most people might think that I do have a lot of clothes, but those are the clothes that I've made to sell, and they're listed. And sometimes I take them out. It just takes so long to take a picture, and then, for example, for my coffee shop, I need to make it a certain size, so I always have to adjust the picture. So I am gathering it right now. I'm pulling the thread. I'm moving it along because on the other side, for some reason, there's like a little problem. And this, I'm going to gather it as much as I can because Barbie has a very small waist. And just as a reminder, we have 20 inches of fabric to gather for a 3-inch about a 3-inch or 2.5-inch waist. And the top, the bodice is really very body fit forming. So I'm doing my best here, and I don't even know if I gathered it as much as I should. And I know I didn't. I know I haven't. So I'm moving it along over here to the left, trying to get a little bit more. So there we go. Let's try this. Let's try this. And if you remember here, I need to stop at about 1/4 of an inch on one side so that I can fold it over. So this one I can have it all the way to the end, but the other one side needs to be 1/4 of an inch less, and that's because we're going to fold it. So this is already going to be folded. And let's start on this one. This is going to be our 1/4 of an inch here. And for the other one, we're just going to do it all the way through. I'm going to fold as well, but this is the part where I was saying we're gonna go all the way through, but the skirt, we did need to fold that. We don't want this to be shown. Let me see if I can adjust the lighting here. So now this is the moment of truth. I do have it all in here, and when I sew it together, I need to sew with this part on top to make sure that the gather is not overlapping, because when you overlap, when you turn it inside out, you're going to see some nasty like oversews. What is that? I was looking. It sounds like a train is outside. Yeah, it sounds. Okay, so it feels to me that there's a lot of material here, like bunched up. So I'm going to loosen it up because this right here feels a little bit light, and that's just the feel of my fingers. That feels much better. It's more evened out. There was a lot over here on this side. So that's one of the things that is really time consuming when you're doing these gathered skirts. You really want to make sure that you have an even flow of gathered material for the gathering of the skirt. Because once you do this here, it really looks very beautiful on the outside. So I may have pulled too much there, so do that. It does look very pretty once you sew it and you're looking at the outside. So here is, again, the other moment of truth, and we are going to sew this, and I'm taking a little bit more than my usual. When I sew, I usually am at the edge, not this time. I need to have room over here, and I'm going to be going slow because I have pins in here. And yes, I do forget where they're at. And so making sure that the dart is going outside, so they're going to be going that way and the other one's going this way. And while I'm doing this, I am making sure that the gather is flat. You're going to thank me when we look at it from the outside. And I am roaming around looking for a needle, and all this looking, I may go over one, even after all that protective measures. So here we are. I am making sure that these are flat and they're not, here's another one. Okay, I'm going to be moving some right there. So I am adjusting. And you really need to have a visual that all these are parallel and they're not overlapping each other. Make sure that they're not slanted. They need to be parallel, and this much is in good form. Here. Did you see this big gap in there? This is why I need to check to make sure that it's all parallel. What we have here is going to be shown on the outside. So now we are done, and we are going to see what it looks like now. And that is what I wanted. Very beautiful, clean cut, all the way around. And over here I have a little bit of fabric peeking itself out. So I'm going to take this out and push it back in. It's like a little outie belly button. Push it back in and then sew it back. Okay, there we go. And that was right at the gate. That was right at the beginning. That's a whole bunch of thread right there. So that looks really, really nice. And I'm going to measure this to make sure that we are even here. So we are good. We're right where we need to be. And now I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to put it through the serger. Let's see here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, sorry about that, it was a little bit of an interruption. So I'm going to trim this enough to where I know the width of the serger foot is going to connect this. And what a difference. It's a little bit high on this side, so I'm going to cut this. So I'm going to put it through the serger, and I will be back. You're going to hear the noise. I'm right here on the side. out. And this is much cleaner, much nicer. I will go and take all of these other little pieces of loose thread and sew this in the back here. And in just a minute, we are going to be done. The gather of the waist takes a lot of time if you really want to have a beautiful clean cut finish and not to be like overlaying the gather from one to the other. You want them to be parallel, and just being careful like that is going to guarantee that you do have a nice finish. So I am going to move the lighting, and we're going to dress up Barbie with her wonderful new dress. And as much as I do try to get rid of all those little loose laces, I mean loose thread, there's always some that creep up, they appear, and all I need to do is just to trim it to get rid of them. So here is the back. And this is the part where I'm going to fold it in like so. Let's do this for here for now. So what I do during live stream is I get the dress and I hold it with the pin, and later of course I go ahead and put the snap or the hook in place so that we can have a very nice finished visual. Because adding those takes some time. So here we have it. We have beautiful Barbie. I'm going to put a backdrop so that we can have a beautiful display of what Barbie looks like in her wonderful, it's like a little, well, you're going to be able to see my little mess here, so I'm going to try to clean this up here on the edge. Just one of those things of just trying to be presentable. It's just not working, so let me see. Try it one more time. Okay, so that's working. And there she is. Let me see if I can adjust the lighting. And I am doing this at night, so my lighting is not that great right now. And there she is, a beautiful dress, the Barbie. And I can pull a lot more here. And I really love the length of the dress. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for being here for this sewing tutorial. I will try to look for, that is not going to happen tonight, but it will really soon. Look at my community board. I will let you know when I'm going to do another live stream, or you're just going to see the new dresses come out and being available and listed. We will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, a comment, and a share. The share is helping my channel grow, and that's what I'm working on each moment of the day. Thank you. Have a great one. Be safe. Bye.